Okay, then welcome to the weekly roundup for week commencing the 28th of January. Okay, with the AUD-USD, we've got the daily, and the A is at 1.0855, and your B is still obviously at the 0.9583. Now, this is the retracement that we've been following. We have this A-B subswing, and what we were saying was that if the bulls are going to take control, then they really need to take out this level right here, so this high point here, this A level at 1.0623. Now, they failed to do that, and what we also said was expect some sort of move down towards this main point of reference, this uptrend line, and that's exactly what we in actual fact did see, okay? We also saw this nice little inside bar here, look, and of course the break of the bottom of this inside bar. This was your base candle, of course, with the inside bar, and we saw the break and the move down towards this main uptrend line, as we particularly expected. Now, let's have a look at the 4 hour. Now, the A is at 1.0286 and the B is at 1.0583. And if we move to the here and now area, this was the move here, look, down towards the main uptrend line, this point of reference, this main uptrend line right here. And now, of course, we've got a little bit of a battle now, because the battle is whether or not we're going to bounce off this or, of course, break through this. But if we just quickly go back to the daily, what we can see is we've got the main A-B downswing, and therefore we're expecting some sort of short. Now, remember, this is also a nice baseline at 1.0340, and therefore if we have a break of this uptrend line, if we do, remember, if the bulls are going to go and take control, we're going to bounce off this and take out this A high point right here at 1.0623. But if we do break through, then we've also got a chance of this twin peak reversal trade, because this is your uptrend line, this is your baseline. So we've got a break and a retracement, and then, of course, a potential fall. That's something that we can watch if we want to watch for a twin peak reversal trade on the daily, of course. But as I say, this is the battle area right here, right now, on this main point of reference, this uptrend line. Are we going to bounce off it, or are we going to break through it? Well, let's take a look at the 1 hour. Now, we can see that this is the move down. This is the main point of reference, this uptrend line. So what are we going to see? We can see that we've got this potential retracement, this potential bounce off it. Now, unfortunately, it's not a great looking chart at the moment, but we'll give you the ABs. The A is at 1.0393 and the B is at 1.0585. So as I say, here we have the fall right here. Now, something that we were discussing as well last week was on the smaller time frame, even the 15-minute, we're discussing this particular retracement. So watch for the retracement, draw in the uptrend line, wait for the break of the uptrend line, and then maybe take the trade down to the main point of reference that we've been discussing. Well, this is the uptrend line that we could have drawn in. We saw the break, full body break below it. Of course, this was your last high point right here, and therefore your stop would have been above this. And then, of course, it broke, entered the trade, entered below the break of that candle, which closed below it, and then, of course, you could have taken this ride right the way down. We did mention that last week, and we were particularly mentioning that and watching the 15-minute. And in actual fact, this was the uptrend line. This was, look, if you take a look at this, let me just let's sort this out actually. This was the down trend line, the inner trend line that we were watching. We watched the break of this inner trend line to the outer trend line, the break of this outer trend line, this inner trend line then to this outer main trend line. We had this uptrend line drawn, which we discussed last week. Then this is the break of it, and this is the break down towards that main point of reference. Moving back to the 1 hour, here we have, this is the break, look, uptrend line, break here. We said watch this, uptrend line, draw it in. When we get the break, a potential trade to the outer trend line. And of course, remember, this is short, and overall, if we look at the daily, we're still in that overall AB short as well. And of course, we've still got this down AB subswing, and we'd still be looking for this subswing extension now. Because it's at the 86%, then the 1.18 would be the extension point right here. Let's just put this line on the extension point right here. So the extension is due to it, the 1.0059, if that's going to follow. Okay, so we just need to watch this now. Watch this area. As I say, let's move back very quickly. If we draw in a downtrend line, I mean, it's a little bit steep at the moment, but if we draw in this particular downtrend line right here, look, going from this point here, of course there are other trend lines. This is also a trend line right here, look. This is also a trend line right here. So you've got all these little trend lines you can draw in if you want to draw them in. But this downtrend line here, this is the steep one. Watch for this, because look how we've got A to B, A to B. So if we start taking out this high point here, for example, then what we can see is potential a move from this break of this inner and a move to this outer trend line. That's something that you can watch for during this week, of course. So this is the battle area. Is it going to break through, or is it going to move into this area? And of course, it would be very nice if we took out this A point right here. Look, just let's zoom out a little bit. So if we took out this A low at 1.0393, so we take that out, what we could see is then, of course, we're going to see a turnaround of the AB direction. It's going to become a down AB swing at that point. And then, of course, we'd maybe get a break and come back to test, and then you'd be able to take the trade short. So let's watch what happens. If it takes out this A, then potentially we could favour the short trade. If it takes out this downtrend line, we can potentially favour a long move towards this outer trend line right here. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. Let's move on. Okay, Euro USD daily. Let's take a look at this. We've got the A at 1.4246 and the B is at 1.2623. We had the main downtrend line, and we had the break of this main downtrend line, and this is the point that we were watching. But look at this here. Let's move this out of the way so we don't get confused. Look at this consolidation that we've been watching all last week, and this is real. There's not a great deal to talk about with the euro, because as I say, we have to start seeing this starting to trend. But what we have seen now is, of course, we've seen the break out of consolidation, but just be a little bit careful here, because what we could see potentially, and just let me extend this a little bit, what we could potentially see here, because this is an engulfing bullish candle, what we could see is a test of this candle and a move back to where we had resistance. This area now might become support, and what I mean about this is it's going to either do one or two things. It's going to come back potentially to test support and then continue along, or of course it could very easily come back into this consolidation area, and this could just be an attempt to trap some of you traders in thinking it's going long. You get into the long trade and it just comes back, and then of course then continues to move back towards this main uptrend line right here and will take you out of your trade. So still very much caution as far as the euro is concerned, okay? Now what we also said was this was the high look at 1.3486. It's going to attempt to take that out. So if it attempts to take that out, we know the bulls are a little bit controlled because we've taken out a point of reference. Didn't quite do that, but of course what it will do is on Monday it will attempt to take this area out. Then again, score a point. That's when we might start to see this pullback as well. So we have got a potential really to just take out this point here, score a point, and then as I say, potential to come back towards this main point of reference, this main uptrend line. But once again, be careful, because that would also mean that what we are doing is we're re-entering this consolidation area right here. So what we could see is an area and a move within that consolidation. So a little bit of caution should be taken. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. Now, with the 4 hour, let's take a look here. We've got the AB swing. The A, well, the A is at 1.266 and the B is at 1.3306. Okay, so that's your AB swings. So we've got the A at 1.2661 and the B is at 1.3306. This was the consolidation area here, look. This was the consolidation that we've just been watching on the daily. So it was a consolidation, and then we've seen the break, okay? Now, here we have a potential evening star setup. We could, as I say, see a move back down towards this area here. Now, what I would suggest is we start to watch this area right here, because, as I say, this area is going to be the test area. Is it going to come back, test the back of this area, then bounce off, or is it going to move through? Well, all we can do is wait and see. But if we take a look at the 1 hour, and here we have the 1 hour. The A is at 1.3036 and the B is at 1.3278. Okay, again, this is the consolidation. Look, you could see this consolidation, and you can see that we in actual fact hit the extension point. Look, we've hit the extension. So let's now draw in the new AB swing. So we've got this B, deepest part of the retracement. We're going to come to this area right here, deepest part of the retracement, up to the first where we get two to the left, two to the right, which is, of course, breaking through the extension. So let me double check this area here. We've got for the low points, because I just need to double check. 32,474, 32. 48. Yep, that's right. I've got the correct one there. It's correct. Okay. So this is your new AB. So let's move the AB swing. This is the B. Let's move this A. So sorry, there's my A. Let's just get rid of this for a second. So there's the AB. So this is your boundaries. AB boundaries, look. There we go. AB boundaries. Let's move this to our extension. Okay, so that one can go. That's the old one. That can go. So we've now got the new swing. We've got the A at 1.3247 and the B at 1.3478. And again, new swing. What does that also tell us? Potential to retrace. Okay. Now we've got these inner two trend lines. Look, these are the inner trend lines we've got drawn in. If we get a break of this inner trend line, we have got a potential to start the retracement down towards this outer trend line here. So this is what we need to start and watch for. Okay. And again, when we're talking about the consolidation, this is your line of consolidation. Take a look. This is the line of the consolidation, the top of the consolidation. So if we get a break of this uptrend line, then potentially we're going to go back into this consolidation area right here, look. This is the consolidation area, and we might move towards this outer trend line. So just keep an eye on what's happening. Use these trend lines to give you the heads up. Once again, if we just take a quick look at the 15-minute, here we have the 15-minute, and these are the inner trend lines that we've got drawn on the 1 hour. Once again, a break of this inner trend line may move us to this outer trend line. But again, we need to wait and see. So let's move on. Okay, GBP USD daily. Well, as expected, we did in actual fact take out the AB upswing, and we've moved this down AB swing. It's what we expected. It's what we discussed. We did say that potentially we would expect a shorter, or would favour a shorter trade rather than a longer position. And that's exactly what happened. Look, it's hit the extension, okay? So what we've now got is we've now got this new AB swing. So A is at 1.6380 and the B is at 1.6008. Of course, we have a 38.2 retracement, and look, of course, hit the extension. So where we had the up AB, we've now got this new down AB. If you're unsure about this particular one, go back and watch last week's video just to give you the previous swings. Okay, so we've now got this new AB, and what we've got is we've got a 38.2 retracement. We've hit the extension. So what we now need to do is draw our new AB. So this will be the A right here, deepest part of the retracement, but we now need two to the left and two to the right before we can draw our B low point. So if we get now a candle which closes above this area here, okay, we need 2 days away from this, then what we can do is use this as our new B point. But what we've also got is we've got a nice pin bar, okay? So just want to do is just move this away from, so let's move this out a little bit, okay? So just a second. So what we've got here is, look at this pin bar right here, look, really nice pin bar. So what we could see here is we could see a move back towards the point of reference on here. Take a look at this pin bar, which means we could move back towards this area. And look at this convergence area, the main down trend line, the up trend line, areas of convergence. This could be where we're looking to move back towards the point of reference before we see a fall, okay? It's a potential. It's something that we've got to look out for. So let's take a look at the 4 hour. So we have the 4 hour. The A is at 1.6177. The B is at 1.5755. Something else that we also need to note. Last week we talked about synchronization of the charts. The daily was an upswing, remember, which was not the same as the synchronized 4 hour chart and the 1 hour chart. But now we've got the down direction of the daily, the down direction of the 4 hour, and the down direction of the 1 hour. So all your charts are now synchronized short, okay? But if we take a look at this, we've got this nice new swing, A to B, A 1.6177, B is at 1.5755. Again, another reason why we might retrace. You've got this lovely down trend line to watch. Once again, if we break above it, then we can potentially move towards these areas right here, or this area right here. Bit of a convergence with the 61.8 retracement and the main downtrend line for this potential short trade, okay? So sell zone, buy zone. Let's see what happens. If we get the break, then we potentially can go have this retracement before we see a potential short trade. Let's take a look at the 1 hour. Okay, the 1 hour, A is at 1.5949, the B is at 1.5759, okay? Once again, we've got this new A-B swing. And when do we see retracements? Well, we see retracements when we've had score a point, and then we get the pullback. Or new A-B swing because we've hit the Fibonacci extension, the retracement, down to the extension, take profit area. We've seen that, we've hit it, and therefore potential retracement. Once again, inner trend lines. We can watch these inner trend lines. If we break above them, then what we're going to do is potentially move to the outer trend line. So below, sell zone, above is the buy zone. Let's take a look at the 15-minute. Because right here we can now have a look at this. These are what we're talking about here. That was the break there. So we've now got this downtrend line on the 15-minute. So what we can see is a potential break above it. But what you could also do is start drawing these particular trend lines. Look how we've got this uptrend line. Now we've broken into this area here below the uptrend line and below this downtrend line. So we could see a little bit of a fall here. But what we need to do, once again, we concentrate on what's going to happen here. Is this going to fall now? It potentially could fall. Let's see whether it breaks above into the buy or stays below and breaks into the sell zone or remains in the sell zone. Okay, let's move on. Okay, New Zealand USD, well, again, not a great deal to talk about here because all it is just sideways movement, okay? So what we'll do, let's have a look at our A-B swings. The A is at 85.70 and the B is at 74.69. Okay, so what we're doing is we did say that potentially we could look at a move down towards this uptrend line. It's not happened yet. And we also said the bulls, if we're going to stay in control, would take out this 84.76. It's not happened. We've just moved sideways. So not a lot to talk about. But let's take a look at the 4 out and give you the swing. A is at 81.52 and the B is at 84.57. As I say, not really a great deal to talk about. What we have seen is this downtrend line. We broke into it, into the buy zone. We've tested now the back of this trend line. So potentially one of two things. We're going to go long or we could continue down towards this main uptrend line. And until I see some sort of trend, I'm really not that interested. But let's look at the 1 hour. Let's zoom out at this. So the A is at 82.10 and the B is at 84.52. You can see this is just a sideways movement. This is the downtrend line we've just looked at on the 4 hour. So potential, we could see a potential move long. But what we'd like to see is one of these high points taken out. So maybe this point right here taken out so that we can see some sort of move long. Let's move on. Okay, USD CAD on the daily. A is at 1.0360 and the B is at 0.9857. Once again, we have this downtrend line where we're seeing this retracement here, and we were actually fighting the back of this trend line, and we said there's going to do one of two things. It's going to break through this, or of course it's just going to continue and break through into this sell zone. But we can see it's actually moved into the buy zone. But let's take a look at the smaller time frame because that's the interesting one, particularly on the 4 hour. Okay, well, this is what we were watching. We saw the break of this inner trend line move towards this outer trend line. And then, of course, we were saying, well, this is the fight here because we've got the battle of this main downtrend line. But if it breaks through, then what we could see certainly is a move to its extension point up here, which is exactly what we've seen, okay? Now, unfortunately, what we can't do, and just let me zoom out for a second, we can't draw in our new ABs because we don't hear, this is the high point. Look, it's broken through the extension, A to B, retracement, extension, take profit area. It's broken through that, but we don't have what we require, which is 2 candles to the left and right at the point where it's broken through here, okay? So we're just going to have to wait and see. But let's we can do that later on. I'll certainly update you when that happens, and I'll Twitter that new AB swing. But let's take a quick look at the 1 hour. Because what we've got on the 1 hour is we've got the A at 99.02 and the B is at 1.0034. And you can see I've got this inner trend line now, okay? So if we're going to get this move back, then we're certainly going to see the break of this inner trend line and potentially a move to this outer trend line. And once again, if you really wanted to, move on to the 15-minute. Just let me get rid of these to prevent confusion. There's the inner trend line on the 15-minute. Look for this break. Look for a break. And look, if we break this area here, look, what we've got is we've got a twin peak reversal potential trade. So what we would do is we would see on the 15-minute a break, break of the uptrend line, break of the baseline, retracement, and then a continuation towards the Fibonacci extension point. Remember, put your Fibonacci's on there, see where it retraces to, and then you've got your extension take profit point there, okay? So that's what we could also do if we're looking on the USD CAD, okay? So you can use the smaller time frame, but look for it to move into the sell zone and potentially move towards this uptrend line right here. Let's move on. Okay, USD/CHF daily. Let's have a look at this AB swing. We've got the A is at 85.66 and the B is at 97.71. Retracement look down towards the 61.8. We've hit the 50% and therefore our extension point is expected to be up here at the 1.618, our take profit, okay? Now what we've got, we have this downtrend line, we've got the retracement. What we were saying was look for a potential either bounce off this or a break through it. We've now seen the breakthrough, okay? And what we have seen, look, and remember, we draw in this trend line. This trend line was drawn in using point 1 and point 2, reference 1, reference 2. Can you see how it came back up to test? Came back up to test the point of reference. It then broke through, came down, and then to the pip, tested the back of the trend line. So potentially this could be telling us that we are going long because we're making higher highs and higher lows. What we could also do is put a nice little Fibonacci. You could put it on this level right here first of all, and therefore you can see we had an 86% retracement, extension then expected at the 1.18. It did that to the pip, look, broke through, and what do we say? We hit an extension, retracement. We score a point, retracement. So this scored a point here, look, retraced. It hit its extension, retraced. So now we can say, let's get rid of that. Let's put on our new Fibonacci. Let's have a look here. Remember, I like a 61.8 retracement. More or less there, test the back of the trend line. This could be a lovely long trade potentially, okay? Because what we have got is we've got that potential twin peak reversal trade as well, okay? So we've got the twin peaks if you want to look at that as well. So this is a potential long situation, but we need to wait and see what the market is going to tell us, okay? Let's take a look at the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, we have got the A is at 91.09, and just 1 second, folks. Let's clear that up. A is at 91.09, and the B is at 93.34 or 31, 93.31 area, okay? This is what we can see. This is the A to B. Look at the Fibonacci. Look at the retracement. Nice 50% retracement. Look at this pin bar. So let me get rid of this so you can see. Look at this pin bar. It formed a lovely pin bar right here. Now, this is the one that I talked about, or I tweeted just to say I missed this, but we could have played my strategy right here, you know, a retracement of the pin bar to get a long entry. So potentially, this could be also telling us now that we are going long. Remember, at the moment, because we've only had a 32.8 retracement, the extension is up here at the 1.618. So potentially, we could have a trade valued at the moment for around about 200 and plus pips, okay? So potentially that's what we could be seeing on the 4 hour. Let's take a look at the 1 hour then. Well, we've got the A is at 92.16 and the B is at 93.31 area. Retracement to the 86%. Therefore, I'm going to adjust this to the 1.18, look. We're going to adjust it, so now we're expecting the extension to go towards the 93.52 area. Now, for it to do that, we've got this downtrend line, look. For it to do that, we're going to have to start breaking that downtrend line. Another reason, folks, why, if we break the downtrend line, we've moved from, what we moved from, this area below the downtrend line in the sell, we'll be moving into, you got it, the buy zone. And particularly if we break this downtrend line, so if we break the downtrend line, look, break it, this downtrend line, take out this nice point of reference, high point, retrace to test the back, draw in your Fibonacci's in here, then watch for the extension, and its extension take profit at the moment is at the 1.18, which is around about the 93.52 area, okay? So let's see what happens. Let's move on. I suppose just before we move on, in actual fact, I just want to go to the 15 minutes on this as well. And it was in actual fact the trader Zulu, or Zulu Trader, I think it's Trader Zulu. I was talking about him last week. He was scalping. Market was difficult because of all this consolidation. He then decided, well, he's going to start concentrating more on the higher time frames of daily and the 4 hour. That's exactly what he did. He made some really good pips last week. So once again, Trader Zulu, congratulations and well done. He did, by the way, say that I could use his name. I could actually mention it, so that's the only reason, of course. But please, if you know you've got some nice stories to tell me, let me know so we can mention them in the roundups as well. But let's just take a quick look at this 15-minute while I think on. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit now, because what we're going to do is we're going to put in that downtrend line here. Okay, I'm going to put in that downtrend line. And remember, if you're not 100% sure how to correctly draw these downtrend lines, just go back to the tutorials again. There's plenty of tutorials telling you how to correctly draw the downtrend lines, okay? Because it really is very, very important. Then we're going to draw in this nice inner trend line right here, because time after time after time, you'll see the inner trend line is broken to move to these outer trend lines. But this is the 1 hour downtrend line look. If we put in this inner trend line right here, it's a bit like that. And this will be back to the 15-minute. There you go, 15-minute. Now, what you can do, once again, you can draw in your uptrend line. Okay? Now, what that means is, if we break this inner trend line, we're potentially going long. If we break this uptrend line right here, then we're potentially going to continue to go short, okay? So back to the 1 hour. So if we break that, then potentially what we are doing is we'll take out this A point at 92.16. Back to the 4 hour. It means that we will break back below this downtrend line, okay? But my money at the moment is, is more on potential long than short. But again, no crystal ball, folks. Wait for confirmation. Wait to see what's going to happen. Use these trend lines. Use your trend lines to see and give you the heads up, okay? Let's move on. Okay, lastly then, USD JPY. Well, this is just, it's just continuing. I mean, we really are just seeing this retrace. Okay, the A is at 94.97, the B is at 76.29, look. This is the retracement that we've been watching now for, such a long time. We've hit the 78.6, okay, so we're going to be actually changing our expected take profit to the 1.27 now. Remember, the Fibonacci, using Fibonacci's for retracement and extensions for profit. You can also watch that. Go review it in the videos, plenty of videos, very detailed videos to watch you how to do that. So just keep rechecking. Remember, view and review. So move to the here and now. This has been the retracement that we've been watching. This, it's just a phenomenal retracement. I've been expecting some sort of break into this area of the sell zone for quite a long while because we've been scoring point after point, but we just don't seem to be making that move yet. So at the moment, we're still very, very strong long, and potentially this could really go. And if this actually heads for the 94.31 mark, of course, remember, we've moved from a down direction to a long direction, overall long term. So let's take a look at the 4 hour. Well, on the 4 hour, we've got this up AB, and remember, the sync is out. We've got daily, which is, of course, down. 4 hour, which is, of course, up, and, of course, we've got the 1 hour, once again, up. So we are the sync at the moment, but let's look at this because it's potentially going to move back into sync very shortly. So on the 4 hour, we've got the A at 85.64, and you've got the B at 89.32. This is your B point right here. Extension, look at the extension point, expected point of profit at 91.56. It's heading for it. It's just short of that. But what we've also done is scored a point. So what we might see now is a little bit of retracement before it attempts to go after this point or this take profit point. And of course, above this trend line, look, buy zone, below it is a sell zone. So looking at the 1 hour, on the 1 hour, the A is at 88.52, 88.052, and the B is at 91.192, okay? So, this is a very steep uptrend line, and I don't generally like to do this, as you know, because it's just far too steep, and it's not really, to me, it's not the best. I like to see a little bit less of an incline on that. 45 degrees is pretty much ideal. This is far too steep, okay? Now, once again, though, we've broken this uptrend line, buy zone, sell zone. This might be an indication that we're going to start moving back down to this point of reference right here. If we take a look, this is the trend line. This is the down move that we might potentially see right here, okay? So we're just going to have to wait and see. Let's just take a look, actually, before we do move on. Just let's have a look at the 15-minute, because once again, if we look at the 15 minutes, let's zoom out a little bit here. You can see that we've got... Let's zoom all the way out here. This would have been the uptrend line here. So let's pull this down, move this to here, because this is a new point of reference. So let's get rid of these for a second and tidy things up a little bit. And then, of course, once again, you've got a little bit more. Remember, use the small time frames to zoom in and get some sort of indication where we are. So what we've got here As if we've got this look subswing of a low to B high, A to B. So if we took out this area right here, what we'd have is we'd be starting to make lower lows and lower highs. That would then also give me an indication that we're actually starting to see some sort of retracement that I've been expecting now for 2 weeks down towards at least this trend line right here. And of course, that outer trend line is, of course, a main trend line that is again continued down towards this area here. And on the 15-minute, you could look at this. There you go. There's the outer trend line that we could move down to on the 15-minute, okay? Okay, happy pipping, folks. Take it carefully, take it steady, and be patient. Catch you next week. Or in actual fact, I'll catch you in the forums through the week. Thank you very much.